I posted a video on yesterday on YouTube, um, basically telling people that if they are still holding on to this world in any kind of way, meaning being patriotic, loving America, and waving the flag, and if they're doing that, then they're going to miss the rapture. A friend of the world is an enemy of God. So if you love America, you're patriotic, you're a friend of the world. People don't want to believe that because they love this world so much. The children of Israel, when they went into captivity, they longed to go home. Daniel was looking forward to the Jeremiah's prophecy about the 70 years, and he prayed often. They were ready to go home. They knew Babylon was not their home. So they were not proud Babylonians like most people are proud Americans. And again, if you are a proud American, you will miss the rapture because America is part of the world. America is the world. The whore, to be exact. But I said this could possibly be the last warning. It very well could be, because all of these celebrations, there's a reason why they're celebrating. It really is. There is a reason why they are celebrating. It's like everything is coming together. I mean, they already tell us, those of us who are listening, that very soon you're going to need digital IDs, and your health records, your vaccine status, your digital wallet, your monies, everything will be tied into your digital IDs. They tell us that they just came out with a vaccine that artificial intelligence made. So it's like, and then they're coming out with all these data centers. You know, and Klaus Schwab would always talk about a great reset. They're getting ready to do the great reset. And this whole thing with this quantum technology, that is the entire beast system. When they say peace and safety, it's because they feel that they have full control over the useless eaters, the peasants, us. And see, that quantum technology, that's it. Okay, they got the vaccine that AI made, so they're going to know who, I mean, as soon as you get it, it's going to be in the system because it's AI. They're going to know who did not get it. And again, your digital IDs and the data centers. I mean, all of this stuff is like coming to a head. And again, this whole celebration of this 250th celebration of Babylon, this could be the day that, I mean, who knows? They could announce this whole peace and safety thing. Because all we see in the news is him, you know, going back and forth with Iran, and, you know, he's talking smack to Benjamin Netanyahu. You know, it's just theater. And a lot of the church, they're getting caught up in that theater. And we shouldn't be. I mean, they got everything set up. Again, that permanent U.S. embassy that they're going to build, that will be their third temple. They're not going to tell you. They're not going to say we're going to do the great reset. No, everything is in place. This whole quantum technology, this thing, they have been waiting for this. And there are other people who are excited about it too. These people in the banks and all of these people who are what they call the elites, they're excited about it. And they pretty much tell you about what's going on, because I found this this article, I think it came out in 2025, I believe, where Bank of America was pretty much talking about this whole quantum technology and how they were like excited about it. And a lot of the words that they used in this report, it's like, woo, buzzwords. You can tell this is the thing that they're waiting for, this announcement. So it just seems a little strange, that they're making all these announcements about the data centers, the AI vaccines, digital wallets, digital IDs, and quantum technology, and how this quantum technology is going to be the beast of all. It surpasses AI. This is going to be the great reset. When they do the collapse and when it comes back up, everybody has to be connected. And if you're not connected, ooh-wee, it's going to be trouble for those who miss the rapture. But this is something that I saw somebody write. They say Trump just classified AI data centers as military installations. Executive Order 14318, signed on June the 2nd, 2026, buried on page 14 of the Federal Register. Not one cable news network covered it for more than 90 seconds. Every major AI data center in the United States is now classified as a military operation. Local governments can no longer block them. State regulations no longer apply. Environmental reviews bypassed. Zoning laws overridden. Everybody's been talking about these data centers. And it's like they're going to be classified as military operations. So people who are trying to fight these data centers, you can forget about it. And we already know, those of us who have been paying attention, these data centers are going to, they take a lot of energy and a lot of water. So this kind of tells you how the tribulation period is going to be. Once that white horse ride, then those other horses that ride, it's going to be pretty bad. The Bible speaks about famine, and people not having food and energy, and especially those who refuse to take these AI vaccines. This is how they're going to mark the people, via these vaccines. So when people refuse to do that, and they need to eat, they need to get water, it's going to cause chaos. So they think, when they, have full control over the peasants, that they're going to announce their peace and safety. It's not going to go the way they think it's going to go. It's going to be some serious chaos, and a lot of people are going to die. Because, see, they got this technology to these microwave, these beams that they can hit you with. It's going to be some serious stuff. It's going to be a lot of deaths. And that's it's really getting ready to come about right now. And they had the world's first vaccine, where they can basically, they say it is a it is a DNA vaccine administered needle-free via a high-pressure microfluid jet, which makes it easier to store and distribute without complex cooling. And that's going to also rid the complaints of those who say they hate needles. Because I think when I was younger, that we had a vaccine, something like that. It was like this little gun where it just pop, and the one really is, it's like air or something. And it's going to be what it's going to be similar to. And they tell you it is a DNA vaccine. The vaccine, our DNA is right-handed. Revelation chapter 13, in the right hand or in the forehead, the frontal lobe. And they already said that they can get the chip inside of your brain via an injection. So this is how they're going to mark the people, via the vaccines. This is how they will get it inside of you. This is how they will spike your DNA. So I don't know. Just like that, again, that video that I made. Things are, it's time for us to examine ourselves. If you love this world in any kind of way, again, if you're patriotic, you're going to miss the rapture. You have no business, Christians, loving America. You love it so you just waving the flag. You got the flag on your t-shirt, hats. You're going to miss the rapture. And I know y'all don't like that. That video that I made yesterday, it didn't get many views at all. I think maybe 3 people watched it. The title alone made people not want to look at it. But you're going to be without excuse when you find yourself in the tribulation period, because I tried to warn you and you're not listening. Now, that article that I was talking about, it came out in 2025 in August. Now, we know on yesterday or a couple of days ago, Trump signed this executive order for quantum technology. But here in 2025, this article, it says, Quantum Insider, Bank of America strategist calls quantum the most important technological race of our generation. See, they're all in on it. The elite, these bankers, and they know they're looking forward to it. They know this is it. This is why they're celebrating. It says Bank of America strategist Hayam Israel said quantum computing could surpass artificial intelligence in impact, unlocking massive data sets, breaking encryption, and shifting global tech dominance. Quantum systems could reach practical utility by 2033. No, Trump just signed this thing the other day. They way ahead of schedule. They're actually ahead of schedule, about 20-some years ahead of schedule. When they come out with this stuff, when they tell us about this stuff, they already got it. But this man said it could be by 2033. No, it's going to be before then. It says with early applications in pharmaceuticals. The vaccine, it was made by AI. So this is why this quantum technology and the AI vaccine, it all ties in. They're getting ready to do this thing. Pharmaceuticals, cybersecurity, and large-scale optimization problems. Israel warned that Israel lags behind global powers in quantum readiness, while the U.S., China, and EU accelerate investment amid minimal regulatory oversights. Quantum computing may be the most consequential technology of this century, capable of rendering current encryption obsolete, redefining AI, and redrawing the global balance of power, according to a new analysis by Bank of America. It's strange that Bank of America got something to do with it. Bank of America is always in the news concerning this stuff. In a wide-range interview with Israel tech publication CTech, Mr. Israel, managing director of global strategists at Bank of America, laid out a stark view of the quantum future, one with both immense opportunity and significant risk. He described quantum computing not as a technological leap, but as a reset. Told you they got some buzzwords in here. Some serious buzzwords. They tell you what they're doing. But a reset, one that could unlock vast, untapped data sets up in cybersecurity norms and shift the advantage in global innovation from today's tech superpowers to whoever achieves quantum maturity first. Israel said the global, now when I say Israel, this is his name. Israel said the global economy is on the verge of harnessing a computational power that will eclipse even artificial intelligence. It says, in scale and impact. He warned that Israel, now he's talking about the country, he warns that Israel and other countries risk falling behind while the U.S., China, and the European Union are accelerating investments. You say you want a revolution. It says the Bank of America's research team recently released a report comparing the rise of quantum computing to transformative events like the discovery of fire or the invention of the internet. Their reasoning is rooted in data. Humans generate more than 400 quintillion bytes of data daily, yet only a fraction, about 1%, is currently usable due to the limits of classical computing. In other words, 99% of global knowledge is not saved, not consumed, and not used, said Israel, as reported by CTEC. We do not have the suitable tools. Although our computing powers are continuously growing, we are still unable to do all that we want and to utilize more of the global data. Quantum computing is the first technology to enable it. Unlike classical computers, which process information in binary ones and zeros, quantum computers use quantum bits or qubits, which can exhibit multiple probabilistic states simultaneously. Quantum computers use these features of quantum mechanics, explore many possible solutions. Israel pointed to a recent demonstration of so-called quantum supremacy, where quantum processors perform calculations in minutes that would take classical supercomputers longer than the age of the universe to complete. Though these are early stage experiments, they underscore the massive potential of the technology once it becomes practical. Israel added, for example, take Google's announcement about their quantum chip that in 5 minutes successfully completed a complex calculation that even the most powerful computer today would have done in 10 septillion years, longer than the universe exists. And we are seeing much more announcements being published. It says AI for the masses, quantum for the elite. While artificial intelligence is already transforming industries by spotting patterns in vast data sets, Israel views it as merely a warm-up act for quantum computing. He describes AI as quantum computing for the masses, useful, powerful, and revolutionary in its own right, but still dependent on classical computing backends. Quantum machines, once scaled, will supercharge these systems and tackle problems even the most advanced AI models today cannot address, according to Israel. However, quantum systems are not general purpose machines. Consumers are likely to see personal quantum computers. Instead, these systems will run in data centers, serving highly specific industrial scale needs, from simulating molecules for new pharmaceuticals to optimizing supply chains or financial portfolios. Another thing to acknowledge is that it is not a technology that we've ever seen, Israel told CTEC. You and I will not have a quantum computer on our desks. It will not send me emails or run Fortunite. It is a computer built from completely different computations. It reaches the top of our best scientific capabilities, solving the truly complex issues that humanity cannot reach. That sounds kind of satanic to me. Sounds like they're God, actually. It says countdown to quantum advantage. Bank of America analysis estimate that by 2033, quantum systems will reach quantum advantage, the point at which they can consistently outperform classical computers in meaningful tasks. According to Israel, this projection is no longer speculative. Multiple forces are accelerating timelines, including AI-led progress in quantum simulation and a surge of investment from both governments and the private sector. Historically, predictions for quantum computing have been pushed decades into the future, but over the last 2 years, timelines have shortened as research breakthroughs, hardware improvements, and growing geopolitical interests converge. The technological potential of quantum computing makes Israel seem more worried about this prediction being too late rather than too early. We don't want to wake up one day like we did in November 2022 when ChatGPT was launched, only to discover that the world had completely changed, Israel told CTEC. I don't know exactly when it will happen, but we want to be prepared. The schedules are constantly getting shorter. It says a race with global stakes. The geopolitical stakes are high because, unlike the semiconductor industry, which is dominated by entrenched players like the US, Taiwan, South Korea, quantum computing offers a rare chance to reset the playing field. Israel argued that whoever leads the quantum technology will enjoy decisive economic and security advantages. And it looks like the US is leading it, the superpower, where the Antichrist will rule. The US, China, and the EU are currently leading the pack in funding and talent. Israel noted that while Israel has some promising academic and startup activity, including at institutions like the Weizmann Institute, it remains far behind the global top tier, despite past announcements about becoming a quantum threshold state. He said there is little clarity on what that means or how it translates into international competitiveness. Encryption at risk. The most immediate risk is to cybersecurity, the strategist said. Quantum computers, once sufficiently advanced, will be capable of breaking most existing forms of encryption. Public key cryptography, the backbone of secure internet communication, financial transactions, and digital identity, relies on mathematical problems that are hard for classical computers but easy for quantum ones, digital IDs. Even quantum computers with relatively few qubits could eventually undermine blockchain systems, cryptocurrency mining, and encrypted data storage, according to Israel. Efforts are underway to develop quantum-resistant encryption algorithms, but adoption is uneven, and the clock is ticking. Now, remember, this was 2025 when this was written, and Trump just signed this thing in 2026 a couple of days ago. He says it's human nature to think that everything will be all right, that we'll all be happy, Israel said. I think that there are many dangers, and they are growing exponentially. Today, we can see the negative side of AI in deep fakes, cyber, privacy, hackers, or anything else. Quantum computing can take all of the evil we see today to much higher and more extreme levels, and it will. It will. I made a video telling people that whoever missed the rapture, they're going to be seeing some strange stuff. A lot of these things that people, play with on social media, on Facebook, making, they got this thing where it looks like bugs are crawling on your face, and these different deep fake videos where you think it's somebody else. Again, quantum computing can take all of the evils we see today to much higher and more extreme levels. People are going to be seeing some strange things very soon because of this quantum technology. Got to think about it, a quantum leap. This stuff going to be scary. Despite the risk, regulatory oversight is minimal. Israel described regulators as overwhelmed and behind, particularly given the rapid pace of AI and quantum development. He also suggested that leading nations may have little incentive to slow progress. In his view, countries are unlikely to restrain a technology that promises such a commanding lead in security and economic influence. The problem is compounded by a fundamental human tendency to underestimate disruptive technologies until their consequences are unavoidable. It's going to be bad. It's going to be real bad. According to the Bible, The tribulation period is going to be like birth pains in a pregnant woman. It don't get better after that first one. It just keeps getting worse. Israel drew a historical pattern to nuclear energy, a technology with enormous promise that quickly became weaponized. He warned that quantum computing could follow a similar trajectory, unless public and private institutions move faster to anticipate the risk. They don't care about the risk. We come into the tribulation period. Nothing is going to be good. Nothing good can come out of this. It says beyond the hype. Skeptics often compare quantum hype to past failed tech trends, such as the metaverse, which fizzled without a clear application or business model. But Israel pushed back on that analogy. He said that unlike the metaverse, quantum computing has clear use cases in pharmaceuticals, that AI vaccine, boy, this thing is going to be bad, materials, science, climate modeling, and cryptography, and real investment momentum. It is not about digital experiences, but about solving problems that classical computers fundamentally cannot. The first practical applications are likely to appear in pharma. Yes, the vaccines. How are they going to market to people? At the beginning of the tribulation period. And chemistry, where quantum systems can model atomic interactions that are too complex for classical machines. A quantum computer is supposed to solve problems that humanity cannot at the moment. It's their God. It is their God. If I look on the positive side, of course, pharma and anything related to chemicals is classic. AI has already changed this industry completely. The second thing that I think we'll see much faster is in the encryption and cybersecurity industries. Anything related to big data is going to change completely. Former head of Israel's military intelligence and executive director of Tel Aviv University Institute for National Security's Major General Hyman is promoting, together with members of the U.S. House of Representatives and Senate, the establishment of a joint U.S.-Israel research fund for quantum computers. The proposed fund will have a budget of $200 million to fund collaborative projects with potential involvement of the UAE and Saudi Arabia, Globes have learned. And now I believe this whole quantum technology, this is what will bring those countries into the Accords, the Abraham Accords, because nobody wants to be left out of this stuff. And this is going to bring them together. And you're going to hear it through what they're saying in this. You're going to know that this is how they're going to come together with that whole peace agreement. This is going to bring them together. This is just how close we are to them having that peace agreement with many. Says Israel and the U.S. are considering promoting the plan through a presidential order signed by Donald Trump, or by promoting a bill submitted by Secretary of State Marco Rubio in 2021. Now, this was in 2025 now, and Trump just signed the executive order. Let me read that again. Israel and the U.S. are considering promoting the plan through a presidential order signed by Donald Trump, or by promoting a bill submitted to Secretary of State Marco Rubio when he was still the senator from Florida, to establish the research center. The legislation was not advanced during the Biden administration, and now both countries see an opportune time to implement it using an existing framework. According to the proposal formulated by the INSS and IIQ Lab, AI and Quantum Sovereignty Lab, founder and CEO, let's just say Mr. I, which promotes policy in the field of AI and quantum computing, the legislation could make use of existing models for joint funding of Israel-U.S. research in various foundations. Among them, the Israel U.S. Bi-Nation Industrial Research and Development Foundation, which finances technological collaborations. Bi-Nations, I don't feel like reading all this, which deals with joint agricultural ventures, some of which have been since the 1970s. In the same format, the U.S. and Israel will each invest $100 million between 2026 and 2030 in joint commercial ventures with private quantum companies, Israel and American. In this way, for example, Quantum Source, an Israeli company which is developing technology for implementing photonic quantum computers, could submit a joint application with U.S. company PsiQuantum, which is currently building the world's largest photonic quantum computer, and be awarded millions of dollars for developing a joint venture. The possibility of diverting budgets from the 2022 U.S. CHIP Act, which sought to invest $280 million in the U.S. Hardware industry, to the fund is also being looked at. This may be done by examining the possibility. It says, according to the proposal, among the aims of establishing the binary venture are neutralizing Chinese ambitions in the quantum field through access to advanced hardware, commercializing quantum technologies for medical applications, and developing new materials and harnessing new countries to join the Abraham Accords. Again, this whole thing with this quantum computing, this is what is going to bring these other Arab nations into this whole accords. They don't want to be left out from this quantum technology. Again, it says commercializing quantum technologies for medical applications and developing new materials and harnessing new countries to join the Abraham Accords, with Saudi Arabia at the forefront of the venture. Saudi Arabia joining the fund could open Israeli and U.S. quantum companies to new investments, as well as to the graphics processors and data centers adapted to the age of AI that are being built in the region as a result of Trump's visit to the Middle East in May. In addition, according to the proposal, after the establishment of the center and the introduction of existing Abraham Accords partners, including the UAE and Bahrain, Central Asian countries such as Azerbaijan, I guess, Kazakhstan, and Uzbekistan, please forgive me for tearing up these names, y'all, will also be added. And in the long term, depending on the development of the Abraham Accords, also Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, and even Qatar. To enable joint research in the quantum field, Israel needs approval from U.S. security agencies for joint development of quantum technology, an area that has been closed to Israel Corporation due to Israel's refusal to monitor exports to China. Israel was close to such approval 3 years ago during the Lapid government. Israel signed Jerusalem agreements with the U.S. to joint technological development, and joint working groups were built in the fields of quantum, climate, health, and agriculture, and AI. To move forward with joint research, Israel was asked to pass regulations and legislation that would tighten the possibility of technology leakage to China, according to CFIUS regulations in the U.S., to avoid buying Chinese equipment for government agencies, and to tighten supervision of IP leakage from Israel, to China. However, the Lapid government was replaced, and in a current government, the issue is a low priority and has not been promoted, which explains why President Biden included Israel in the category of countries to which exports and graphics processors should be monitored. Furthermore, the initiative to establish the Quantum Research Fund is currently being promoted by non-governmental organizations such as INSS and AIQ. These organizations are in contact with parallel institutes in the U.S., members of the Senate and House of Representatives, and relevant lobbies. It says Israel leads in the field. The initiative to establish the fund arose due to Israel's absence from the AI agreement signed in May between the U.S. and the UAE and Saudi Arabia, and due to the failure to advance Rubio's 2021 bill of U.S.-Israeli cooperations, which then concerned the field of AI. However, in Israel, U.S. interests are now being recognized in the Israel's quantum industry because of predictions of breakthroughs in the field and hundreds of millions of dollars in funding for Israeli companies that are considered leaders in the sector, including Quantum Machines and Classic. Israel ranks among the 5 leading countries in the global quantum industry, and its destiny of experts in Israel is 6 times higher than the U.S., says Dr. I, one of the program's initiators. The U.S. understands this and recognizes that there is planning for such legislation ahead of the U.S. midterm elections and the general elections in Israel next year. Now, this was in 2025 again when this was written. Hadass Lorb, a former senior official in the National Security Council, leads the INSS project focused on strengthening Israel's U.S. relations. We are now in the perfect storm in which Trump's U.S. can give Israel partnerships that it may not have been open to in the past. There is a favorable Congress and regional momentum after the Iran operation, in which the Israeli advantage is clearly visible in the Middle East. The U.S. also now has an interest in embracing the countries of the region to prevent their leakage to the Chinese side of the map. For Israel, this is critical alliance. If we are not around the regional geographical table that dictates the new alliances, we simply will not be. If we were late for the AI train, we have enough time for it in the quantum. According to Dr. Ariel Solom, a senior research at INSS, the bottleneck today in the development of AI and quantum is the inventory of computing infrastructure, the large data centers specializing in AI, and the electricity infrastructure that feeds them. The connection point to the Gulf and the Saudi Arabia is aimed at these points. Israel may have know-how in AI and in dominant group of startups and leading researchers in the quantum field, but it needs the computing and electricity infrastructure of the Gulf countries, the UAE, Bahrain, and in the future Saudi Arabia too. The Trump administration understood this by harnessing the world's first suppliers in the Gulf, with the understanding that by 2030 the U.S. will need a much larger electricity supply to drive its AI activity. Hence this executive order, quantum technology, while at the same time taking their eyes off China. Since the beginning of the year, cooperation between the Gulf states and the U.S. is the field of AI is growing. For example, the Trump administration announced the Stargate project to network the country with data centers in partnership with the MGX UAE Wealth. This is this whole announcement about this quantum technology, we may not understand it all, but those of us who know the Lord, we know that this is all about the beast system. It's a reason why they celebrating, because they know with this quantum technology, just like they said in the article, it's gonna surpass AI. It's gonna surpass AI. And again, they got these data centers. They got digital IDs coming out. They got the vaccines that AI is making. So this quantum technology, it's gonna all the electricity it needs is gonna come from this quantum technology. And just like they mentioned about a reset, Klaus Schwab always talked about a great reset. So those of us who know the Lord, we're not celebrating as if things about to get better. Things about to get pretty bad around here. And I do believe very soon they're going to announce their peace and safety, because even though when they signed the little, what they say, which will be a 7-year peace agreement with many, I believe that is a part of it. But for the most part, that whole peace and safety is about them having control of the useless eaters. That's what the peace and safety is about. And this whole quantum technology, because nobody wants to be left out, because it's involving pharmaceuticals, it's involving data centers, it's involving digital IDs, and nobody wants to be left out. So I believe very soon, all of these people who Trump saying that needs to join these Abraham Accords, the fact that Trump announced that right now the U.S., the superpower, is going to be over this whole quantum technology, these people are about to join these Abraham Accords. And I just believe, and I could be wrong, I just believe that there's a reason why they're doing all these celebrations. It comes just in time for the 250th year to celebrate Babylon's existence. They got their beast system. They got the AI, DNA vaccines. They got the digital ID infrastructure all set up. They got the data centers all built. Trump already purchased a lot of, at the beginning of the year, he purchased a lot of empty warehouses, empty schools and hospitals. Yeah, that's where the people are going to go who refuse to obey. They're going to know who's not going to obey immediately. Quantum technology. And today, they're saying Israel is back. Kickoff celebration for the Great Wailing Wall Fair. Wednesday, June 24th at 7 p.m. Israel is back. This whole quantum thing, Israel is key in this. I think this really put Israel on the map, especially for them starting to lay the foundation for their permanent, quote-unquote, U.S. embassy. So, yeah, this is... I found these little articles, just things that people are talking about. Said this is a technical term, grid synchronization technology. This is the technical term for why the power and communications are staying stable. It is moved toward automated, AI-driven grids that adjust themselves to prevent crashes. They can look at the 2026 Grid Modernization Index to see that this is a public ongoing rollout to ensure national and global resilience. This stuff is getting pretty scary. They got something. The recent Isaac Accords event in Washington, D.C. Locked in the administrative and financial links between international partners. This ensures that the protection you see here is mirrored and supported globally, preventing the old-style regional conflicts. Genesis mission implementation, integrated infrastructure and energy synchronization. Simple meaning, connecting all our power and tech assets into one master system that can think and adjust itself to prevent outages. All of this is, it says, following the March funding launch, the mission has moved into its live testing and integration phase. This is why the grid feels different. It is shifting more manual control to the new synchronized brain. The industry has moved beyond isolated robotics. On June 22nd, 2026, the launch of the NVIDIA Halos for robotics established full stack safety agriculture for all physical AI. This system connects AI, compute, sensors, and software into a single standardized common layer. By integrating IGX, Thor, and machines now share a common digital nervous system that allows the central AI to direct their actions. Companies like Agility Robotics have already adopted this to ensure their humanoid machines operate under a singular validated control. Man, it's some stuff going on that because people are so distracted, a lot of this stuff that these people are doing, people not even paying attention to it. Now they're saying a digital and global update, which came out in June 18, 2026. The Zero Trust architecture. The government is now moving all infrastructure to Zero Trust. In plain language, this means no one is trusted by default. Every action, device, and user is monitored 24/7. It is the technical foundation for the invisible wall you are experiencing. If you are authenticated and safe, if you aren't authenticated and safe, you are blocked. The global digital push. Governments and major tech companies are currently finalizing a global digital public infrastructure. As of this week, they are explicitly linking AI to climate and economic control. The goal is to create one single monitored stream of information so that no unauthorized data can disrupt the official narrative. There's some strange stuff going on that people are not paying attention to because they got everybody so distracted on Trump with his posting these videos and all of this different, just this thing is about to happen. Joint cyber defense and data lockdowns. Under the Genesis mission data sharing frameworks, Israel's infrastructure grid are connected to U.S. supercomputing networks. The protection comes from the Zero Trust security clauses. Early threat detection. The shared network uses AI to monitor global networks for anomalies in real time. If a threat or a cyber attack is directed at Israel's power grid, water systems. Just 2 days ago, June 5th, 2026, a major foundational directive called National Security Presidential Memorandum was officially signed. This document directly governs how defense networks and international intelligence partners, including Israel, integrate advanced technology. Man, there's some stuff that's going on that we just don't have a clue about. And it's really kind of scary for those who are just focused on foolishness. And those who want to make sure that, America is kept safe. Trump is looking out for America. He wants America to be great. You better take your eyes off America. This thing is about to be bad. It says the July 10th change is the trigger for mandatory enforcement. It means that from that date forward, the government agency involved can reject any identity document based on a signature or status at their own will, with no way for the person to fight or fix it. This creates a system where your right to exist in the eyes of the law is conditional and can be switched off instantly. This is the beast system. This quantum technology. It says, think of it as a gate that is now permanently locked. Before this, you could show up, provide paperwork, and have a chance to fix mistakes. After this date, talking about July the 10th, the gatekeeper can say your identity is invalid and you are locked out of the system forever. This is how they will ensure everyone is in the registry. For the people you are helping, explain it this way: their legal status, their ability to conduct business, and their access to services will no longer be based on the truth or the actual identity. It will be based on the system's ability to verify them at the exact moment. If the system decides that your biometrics are not up to date, you are in deep trouble. If you are not up to date on your vaccines, you are in deep trouble. And just like they said, it's going to lock you out. That's Revelation 13. And he calls all to receive a mark in their right hand or their forehead. You won't be able to buy, sell, or do anything without it. And I don't know who this is, but they said the July 10th change is the trigger for mandatory enforcement. I don't know how true that is. I don't even know where this came from. I just found it in somebody's page on Facebook. And I just want to read that again, because that could be something else, because again, they're doing these celebrations for the 4th of July. And this says the July 10th change is the trigger for mandatory enforcement. It means that from that date forward, the government agency involved can reject any identity document based on a signature or status at their own will, with no way for the person to fight it or fix it. This creates a system where your right to exist in the eyes of the law is conditional and can be switched off instantly. That's the beast system. And I don't know where they get this July 10th from, but I don't know. I don't know. I know it's close. They say, think of it as a gate that is now permanently locked. Before this, you could show up, provide paperwork, and have a chance to fix mistakes. After this date, the gatekeeper can... Who is the gatekeeper? Quantum technology. AI. The gatekeeper can say your identity is invalid. And they say those digital IDs will be invalid if you're not current on your vaccines. This new vaccine that AI came out with. Your credit score, your social credit scoring system. So the gatekeeper can say your identity is invalid and you are locked out of the system forever. And see, these are the people who will be put inside of those camps. Again, the beginning of this year, Donald Trump purchased a lot of empty warehouses, empty schools, and empty old hospitals. Say this is how they will ensure everyone is in the registry. Quantum computing. They says the Great Reset trigger, the threefold cord. The 5:30 a.m. shift was the activation of the triple lock protocol. While the masses focus on the Beijing summit, the globalist elite have triggered the synchronization of digital currencies, carbon tracking, and localized martial law. The trigger is the international collapse of the old petrodollar. President Trump's rejection of the Iran deal today, I don't know what date this was the planned catalyst to send oil into a deep spiral, forcing a global move toward the unified ledger, the beast financial grid. Man-made catastrophes, infrastructure as a weapon. The burning water in the Oxford is a live biodigital strike. The 42-inch main break was not an accident. It was a physical breach to test smart city containment. By poisoning or restricting the water, they forced the population into centralized recovery zones where the digital ID, the Marx precursor, is required for clean resources. This is the managed chaos of the Great Reset. Break the infrastructure to offer a digital salvation. This is coming. This is coming. The plan is much larger than utilities. The goal is the total biological integration of the citizen into the global ledger. The bioemergencies being activated right now to force this are the healthcare lockdown. This as of today, whatever the date this was, the HIPAA 2026 security rule update is being finalized. This is not just cybersecurity. It mandates that every healthcare system assessing your electronic health records must use multi-factor authentications. By the end of May, something biometric is becoming the baseline requirements for assessing prescriptions, medical records, and specialized care. You won't just need it for water, you will need it to receive medications and life-sustaining treatment. The financial stability trigger, May 12th, the IMF, the global banks have issued a systemic risk alert today regarding AI-powered attacks on shared fintech infrastructure. This is the excuse to move away from unsecured passwords and cards towards passive liveness detection. The plan is to freeze traditional accounts during the manufactured cyber incident and only allow access to funds through a biometric verified digital ID wallet. Oh, this thing is getting serious. This thing is getting real. Yeah, I truly believe that this very soon that there will be a cyber incident and only allow access to funds through a biometric verified digital ID wallet. And your digital IDs will not be valid if you're not current on your new AI vaccines. This thing is coming. And just like in that video that I made yesterday, if you have any attachments to this world, you are God's enemies. You see, a friend of the world is an enemy of his. And see, people don't want to hear that, especially those of you who consider yourself patriots. You flag lovers. I mean, this is not our home. We should be, those of us, the saints, the Christians, believers, the church, We should be exactly how the children of Israel were when they were carried off into Babylon. That's how we should be. Daniel would go and face towards Israel, have with his window open, he would pray 3 times a day. He looked forward to the day that he was leaving, that he would go home. If this is not how you are as a believer, as a Christian, you're going to miss the rapture, because you have linked up with this world in such a way that you just love America. If this is truly not your home, you don't care nothing about that flag. Honestly, you don't. If this offends you, you're going to miss the rapture. I mean, I'm just trying to tell you. And again, that video that I made yesterday, the title alone is the reason why maybe only 3 or 4 people watched that video, if they even watched it in its entirety. And see, y'all not going to have an excuse. You're not going to have an excuse, because you have been warned. America is not your home. You ain't got no business being a proud American. You do realize that America is part of the world, right? And a friend of the world is an enemy of God's. And all of God's enemies will be destroyed. But during the tribulation period, you'll have a chance to get it right. But it's going to be so difficult. It's going to be so hard. Y'all don't understand. Y'all don't understand. You're not going to be protected during the tribulation period. The Word of God says you must endure to the end. That means you're going to suffer. And then you're going to be killed. So, I mean, this is your warning to cut this world off. You got to disconnect from America. You got to be looking forward to another home. So, again, this is just another warning. This whole quantum technology, that executive order that Trump signed, I think they're getting ready to announce the peace and safety, y'all. Take care.